All right, let's talk Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, been a very solid offseason and making some splash moves towards the end. Of course, the Pickens trade, but a lot of good football minded moves along the way. And now that we've worked our way through rookie mini camps, OTAs, mandatory mini camps, getting ready for training camp, we can take a step back and look at the data. And when you break it down from a Cowboys perspective, this is a team that's about to be incredibly dangerous, incredibly dynamic during the upcoming 2025 regular season. We got some interesting stuff I know you Cowboys fans are going to love. But first, I am Nick. That is Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, the Dallas Cowboys, like we've covered a lot over the past few months, have had a really good offseason across the board. But now's the time we can take a step back and we look at every single NFL team, whether it's on our main channel or this specific channel, Talking Cowboys, about what teams have done and how their team is structured and how they can really have their strengths align and really create an explosive breakout kind of unit. And if you look at one particular addition, of course, the addition of wide receiver George Pickkins, it perfectly aligns of what the Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott, from an under the radar perspective, does extremely well. And those two should work great together and make this Cowboys offense really lethal. Let's go into this graphic here, courtesy of PFF. I think this is very interesting. It says the highest graded wide receiver on go routes in 2024 was George Pickens with a 95.6 grade. So this is a guy in Pickens. It sounds kind of cliche and obvious. People expect this, but the data, the advanced analytics over at PFF supports this. Pickens is the best vertical route wide receiver in the National Football League, right? You give him a chance, he will make the play. That's basically what this is saying. But where it gets very interesting is that Dak Prescott is actually underrated, in my opinion, one of the best go ball vertical route throwers in the National Football League. Let's go ahead and switch to our table here, if you don't mind here. Looking at the past, I think 6 seasons in front of us here, the deep ball adjusted completion percentage ranking on the right, that is a mouthful. That's basically just looking at Dak Prescott's completion percentage ranking among all quarterbacks in the National Football League, throwing the ball 20 plus yards downfield, factoring in things like drops, right? So you can see he's pretty darn consistent. 2019, 5th, 2020, 8th, 2021, 10th, 2022, 7th, 2023, 9th. And actually last season, he was 4th before getting hurt in the National Football League. So again, Dak Prescott is a very consistent, very effective deep ball thrower. People don't really think of him that way, but he is very, very good at it. You align that with Pickens, who's outstanding as a deep ball receiver, and you have a lethal combination for the Cowboys going forward. If you look at the past 3 seasons with Dallas, I think the biggest problem for them was the lack of this vertical threat a lot of the time. CeeDee Lamb is spectacular, and he can be, but he does most of his better work working short to intermediate yards after catch. He really can do a lot of different things, but I don't like him necessarily as your big play threat exclusively. They thought Michael Gallup was going to be the guy. He never really came back from that injury at the end of the 2021 season, which is unfortunate because he was leaning towards being an elite big play threat. It didn't work out. The Cowboys bet big on Gallup. It failed. I think that honestly really hurt Prescott's performance in 2022. Dak had a massive 2023 and then an overall dip in 2024. The Cowboys have replaced him with I think their best deep threat, maybe since Terrell Owens. I can't think of a guy in a long time that the Cowboys have had a better vertical threat than Pickens. It aligns with Dak Prescott, does extremely well. And when you see this alignment of strengths come together, this is what happens when you have breakout seasons. I look at when the Philadelphia Eagles, they added A.J. Brown into the fold. If you look at the way the Eagles were structured, they needed a big physical presence because they needed some yards after catch. They needed a receiver that could, who they had a young quarterback in Jalen Hurts, who at the time was not known for his accuracy, still really isn't, to be fair. In that case, you need a big body guy who can win those tough contested catches. He's not going to get a lot of separation, and you're going to have a quarterback that's not going to be that accurate. So separation doesn't really matter as much anyway. And A.J. Brown was a great fit. We saw, of course, what Philadelphia did. I know Cowboys fans, you hate to see it, but they're a really good combination. We're going to see a similar kind of effect here with Pickens and Dallas, unleashing Dak Prescott. We saw in 2024, his numbers took a step back. In 2023 is elite. I think the addition of Pickens pushes him much more towards the elite category in terms of his production, and it makes this offense extremely deadly. The 1-2 punch of CeeDee Lamb and of course, Pickens paired with Dak Prescott and what hopefully should be an improved running game. This is one of the things that people sleep on a little bit. The addition of Pickens makes this Cowboys team better, undeniably so. The 1-2 punch is obvious with Lamb and Pickens. But one thing people forget is, do you have strengths aligning? We have Dak Prescott, a very good deep ball thrower, with Pickens, the best deep ball player in the NFL that has special kind of stuff. This is very hyperbolic, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it does remind me a little bit, just a little bit here, maybe not the same magnitude, of the 2007 New England Patriots. Brady was a good deep ball thrower, didn't have the receivers. They added Randy Moss, a special kind of season. I don't think it'll be anything like that. I'm not saying that at all in terms of overall production, but I think this is what happens sometimes. You get an alignment of strengths and alignment of talents, and special can happen. I think there's a great chance the Cowboys have an opportunity for that kind of performance this season. All right, Miles, I know you've got some thoughts on this, but first, Cowboys fans, in the comment section below. Obviously, we're talking wide receivers, we're talking Pickkins here, but let me ask you this. Who is the most underrated wide receiver in Cowboys history, in your opinion, right? There's been a lot of great stars, right? We can go through the list. Bob Hayes, Pearson, I'll throw Hill in the mix there. Of course, you've got Irvin, Des Bryant, CeeDee Lamb. You've got so many really good like, star receivers. But who's an underrated receiver in Cowboys history? You want to give a shout out? Put them in the comment section below. But Miles, what are your thoughts with this latest news out of Dallas?
And I think when you bring up this and you see the strengths aligning, this is where you see what Pickens brings to this team, and this is where it gets back to. I think we talk about all the time. This team built this season on smart, solid football moves. But I think every time I would talk about it, it's like, well, but there was no flash, there was no big time splashes except the Pickens move. That was always the one. But now we're seeing how it's grounded back to, in a way, being a smart football move once again. It's not just getting the talented guy and seeing how he's going to fit into this team. It's showing you there was some thought behind it. There was some aligning of strengths, like you said. And to corroborate exactly what you're saying, Dak Prescott, a phenomenal deep ball thrower. You see his adjusted deep ball completion percentage rankings, but you just go look at his PFF grades, and when you break it down through the lengths of the field where he was the best, it was the outsides of the field, 20 plus yards down the field. That's where his best rankings were. Deep left, 20 plus yards, 92.9 passing grade. Deep right, 20 plus yards, a 90.8 passing grade. Where does the go route go? If he's on the outside, straight down the sidelines, that's where he is going to line up. So, like you said, Pickens, the best go route runner. Dak Prescott, arguably, I'd say, one of the best go route throwers. Get this lined up. Have these guys meet together. The Dak Prescott's deep ball, very underrated, I think. I think this lines up really well, and it just brings this whole Pickens move to me full circle. Another good, smart football move for the Cowboys. This shows that, hey, this wasn't flash, this wasn't rush, this wasn't just go out and get me someone flashy, go out and get us a special, talent, and we'll see how it fits in. No, this was a talent that fit the team already. We may not have saw it at the time. Maybe you Cowboys fans, always smart, always in depth on this team, maybe you saw it, but now seeing all this come together, it really speaks to me. This was what it was going all along. This was the smart part of the move, saying, hey, let's align our guys best with our new guys best. Like, let's get someone who comes in who can fit the bill to help Dak Prescott do what he does best. Like you said, the Gallup, that was what he's supposed to do, didn't do it. Kind of probably hurt Dak Prescott's season a lot more than people think last year. This one, Pickens, I'm going to assume I've seen Pickens play numerous times on the Steelers. This guy was absolutely phenomenal. He does a lot of good things. So I can confidently say I think he's going to work out. I think he's going to be a strong receiver for the Cowboys. So I think we're going to see it work now, and we're going to see Dak Prescott get back to what he does best, chucking balls downfield 20-plus yards with extreme accuracy. I really love this for the Cowboys. I think it's going to make this team very exciting to watch next season.